Most open world city games have a pretty similar theme to them. You're a criminal, either doing what you need to do to protect your friends and family, or you're a part of a bigger gang or organization, and nothing's going to stop you from taking over the city. Basically, whether it's the main theme of the game or not, there's an underlying message of "Fuck the police!" Yeah, what he said. The police are always going to be there, trying to take you down whether they're the main antagonist of the game or not. Even if you're an undercover cop, they won't hesitate to bust a cap in your ass. With so many games where you're on the run from the law, wouldn't it be nice to be the one chasing the criminals for once? Enter real-time world sandbox of justice and destruction, or as I like to call it, Justruction, third-person shooter, Crackdown. Crackdown was released in February of 2007. It's a free-roaming third-person shooter where you're a badass cop bringing justice to the streets by any means necessary. And those means are usually lots of explosions. Now, a quick disclaimer here. I'm using the Keys to the City DLC pack to enhance my agent, just for the sake of capturing footage. So whenever you see this little box in the corner, it's in the Keys to the City mode, but this is just to show you how good this game can be. There's no real story in Crackdown to be found, but here's the gist of it.
It's all gone to shit.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The island metropolis of Pacific City has been overrun with crime and nothing can stop it. Not until now. The city's police force, the agency, has created a cyber-powered team of super cops called the Judges. I mean agents. Agents are super strong, super fast, super badass, and eat super huge donuts. Donuts. You're the first of these new agents, and your job is to take down the 3 gangs in the city, Los Muertos, the Volk, and the Shai-Gen, and rid the city of crime, and you can do this pretty much any way you want. I think the best way to describe it is...
I am the law.
Yeah, it's pretty cool like that. You start the game off basically as Captain America pre-Super Soldier Serum, and you have to level yourself up. You have 5 abilities you can level up. Strength, explosives, firearms, driving, and agility. All of these besides agility, you level up just by doing them. If you kill enough guys with melee or throw an object, your strength will become more powerful, and you can throw bigger objects and do more damage with your kicks and punches. Using grenades and rockets will make your explosives more powerful and have a bigger blast radius. Shooting gang members will make your auto aim better and your guns inflict more damage. And pulling off stunts in vehicles or running over baddies in them will increase your driving ability, making cars easier to handle as well as souping up agency vehicles. Agility is the odd one out here. You increase it by collecting agility orbs that are scattered across the rooftops and around the city. It's a very creative way of increasing your speed and jump height, and you're going to constantly be saying to yourself, just one more orb, just one more. The main meat of the game is taking down the gang leaders. Each gang has 7 main leaders, 6 generals, and 1 kingpin.
Los Muertos' charismatic Don Domingo El Brazo Garcia, the Volk's autocratic Vladimir the Wolf Golyak, and the Shai-Gen's enigmatic Wang.
Oh my. The game doesn't force you to play in any linear fashion though. As soon as you start the game, you can head straight for the kingpin of the Shai-Gen,
Wang,
the toughest gang in the game, but it's really not recommended. Taking out the generals would decrease the defenses around the kingpin and make them easier to kill. You can kill all 6 generals before you take on the kingpin, or just take out 2 or 3. Up to you. Gang members will roam the streets and occupy rooftops waiting for a fight, and they won't hesitate to shoot you down. If you kill enough gangbangers, they'll send out hit squads to try and kill your ass. You can try to fight them, but the only real way to get rid of them is to lay low for a bit. There are agency peacekeepers in the city as well, but they're not going to really help you too much, especially once you get to higher levels. Their pea shooters aren't going to do much compared to your weapons and strength anyway. Killing civilians will get the peacekeeper shooting at you, which is pretty expected. But it can be hard to avoid civilian casualties when you're trying to take out 2 gang members in a crowd of 100 people with a grenade launcher. I don't know what else I can do. Kill too many civilians, and the agency will call in the cavalry, and peacekeeper hit squads are going to come after you. Just stay out of the way for a while and you'll be fine. I think it would have been much cooler if they sent another agent to come and take you down. But, what are you gonna do? Throughout the game, there's supply points that you can change your weapons or restock ammo at. However, you'll need to reclaim these supply points from the gangs before you can use them, but you just need to walk up to them and hit select. Besides fighting the gangs, killing the bosses, and collecting agility orbs, there are also rooftop races and street races to compete in. If you beat the times on these races, you'll get some bonus experience towards your agility or driving. They're an alright diversion, but the appeal doesn't last too long, especially with the road races. There's also a 2-player co-op mode that lets you both roam the city freely. You could both be fighting one general at the same time, or you could be on opposite sides of the city, one of you doing a rooftop race and the other throwing cars at gangbangers. I never got to try the co-op mode because that requires having friends and...
All my friends are dead! All my friends are dead! Got kicked in the head! All my friends are dead!
Sorry about that. I had a band stuck in my throat. Well, how's the game play? Let's take a look. Crackdown actually controls really well. The running and jumping is great fun, and it's very fluid, especially once you get to higher levels of your agility. The auto-targeting system works really great too, allowing you to pick a particular part of a person or vehicle. You can shoot a guy in the arm and he'll drop his gun, or shoot a car's gas tank and it'll explode. One little nitpick about the auto-aim is that sometimes it targets dead enemies, which can be annoying in a firefight, but doesn't break the flow too much. The jumping feels very natural, it's a hell of a lot of fun to do. You can grab on almost anything in the game and use it to boost yourself up a skyscraper. Sometimes the detection will be a bit off and you can miss something that you could easily have grabbed onto, but most of the time it works just fine. The driving is probably the worst handling part of the game. The civilian vehicles handle like a bucket of fuck unless you get your driving skills significantly high up. The agency vehicles do handle better, and they'll actually upgrade themselves if you have a high driving level. Like the agency supercar, which starts off like an ordinary sports car but ends up like the freaking Batmobile when you're fully leveled up. The game helps you out and places markers above the heads of different AI in the game. Gang members are marked with their respective gang symbols. Peacekeepers have the agency logo above them, and if the NPC doesn't have a logo above them, they're a civilian. Guess I'm civilian. If you see a logo above someone in a circle, that means they're part of a hit squad and there'll be plenty more coming after you. All enemies are pretty much the same. They all go down pretty easy and they don't vary much in weapon types. Except for the Shy Gen, where pretty much everyone has a heat-seeking rocket launcher. Yeah, cause that's fair. Makes for great security though. The bosses aren't really that big of a threat once you're face to face with them. They mainly just have a lot of health, you gotta keep shooting them. There's not much variety to it, even though some of them do have some pretty cool designs. The best part of the boss fight is getting to the boss in the first place, and fighting your way through these strongholds is actually one of the best parts of the game. You have a decent selection of guns to choose from as well. There's several kinds of pistols, SMGs, shotguns, snipers, and assault rifles you can use. As for explosives, there's a couple different rocket launchers, a grenade launcher, and a few different kinds of grenades you can pick. Let's take a look at, well, how it looks. The game holds up pretty well for being 6 years old. The cel-shaded graphics give it a very comic book look, and the entire city looks good from pretty much any angle, especially at night. Textures can be a bit bland or fuzzy sometimes, but with such a big map, you can let a few little details like that slide. The explosions look fantastic, with car parts and ragdoll bodies flying through the air with each massive kaboom. The physics are also a blast, even if they aren't quite realistic, but hell, I'll take fun over realism any day. The character models don't really look too good. Pretty much everyone's just a recolored clone of someone else. Also, every single woman in this game has their midriff showing. I have no idea why. Belly buttons are sexy! I think the agent actually looks really good. As you level up your abilities, you can see physical changes in the character model, which is a pretty cool detail. The game has its share of glitches, some of them more annoying than others, but every open world game has glitches. It's like a law or something. The sound design is excellent. Explosions are big and powerful. All the guns sound pretty unique. The vehicles can sound a little underpowered sometimes, like they're just really big go-karts, but it's not too bad. The NPC voice acting is average. There's nothing really spectacular, nothing really dreadful. There's also an omnipotent announcer in the game. He's the head of the agency, and he'll give you all the info you need to know. And his voice actually sounds really cool.
To ensure a guaranteed supply of weapons and ammunition, you need to regain control of agency supply points.
He'll let you know how good your chances are with a stronghold, as well as telling you some pretty cool information about each boss in the gang.
Sex and violence are her favored tools.
Sometimes he'll just randomly say something that has nothing to do with what's going on, but you can always turn them off in the options menu. The music in this game isn't that good. It's mostly trancey electronic music that doesn't seem to match what's going on with all the explosions and death everywhere. It only plays when you get into vehicles though. I mentioned earlier I was using some DLC to get footage, and I'll mention it again. The free-for-all pack is, well, free. It gives you the keys to the city mode. This mode allows you to do a lot of cool stuff. You can be invincible, have super strength, super speed, and unlimited ammo if you want. You can also spawn several vehicles and explosives. This mode is a hell of a lot of fun to play with, but you can't get any achievements and you can't save your game. There's also the Getting Busy DLC pack. It adds new weapons including a rapid-fire rocket launcher, a minigun, and a spike launcher, as well as 3 new vehicles and a couple other extra modes including a fully fleshed out street racing mode. The pack only costs you 400 Microsoft points and it's pretty fun if you want a couple extra toys to play with. Before the final word, here's a couple other little fun nuggets of info about the game. The game's developer, Real Time Worlds, only made one other game besides Crackdown before they shut in 2010. That game was All Points Bulletin, a PC MMO third-person shooter that put players in a cops vs. criminal environment and let them fight it out. I've never played it, but it's free to play on Steam, so I might give it a try sometime. Also, the creator of Crackdown, David Jones, is also the creator of Lemmings and Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2, as well as the founder of Rockstar North. Pre-ordered and specially marked copies of Crackdown also had an invite to the Halo 3 beta, which took place in May of 2007. The game also sold really well, selling 427,000 copies in its first week alone. I also have a bit of my own personal history with Crackdown. Not only was it the first M game I ever owned, it was the first Xbox 360 game I ever owned. So it's kind of got a little soft spot for me. Well, it's time for the final verdict, or as some may call it,
Judgment time.
Dredd.
Respect the feds, he earned it with his blood. Fear the gun, your sentence may be death because I am the law.
This game is freaking awesome. I love it. The gameplay, the guns, the freedom, the explosions. It's amazing. It's actually one of my favorite games of all time. You can do pretty much anything you want, any way you want. It gives you almost total freedom and has tons of replayability. I should know. I've been playing it for 5.5 years. I think why I love Crackdown so much is the fun that you can make for yourself in it. Like killing a gang member by throwing his own dead henchman at him. Or shooting out the wheels of a car and trying to drive it around. Or even shooting passing cars' tires and watch them go flying out of control. Man, I never realized I hated tires so much. You can pick the game up used at GameStop for $3 or download it from Xbox Live for $15. Either way, this game is absolutely astounding and one you should definitely pick up if you've missed it. And for all that, I give it the thumbs up of brilliant.
Brilliant!
Hours of enjoyment, huge explosions, and the great feeling of slamming your cyborg boots down some gangbanger's skull while screaming, "I am the law." I am the law! To put it bluntly, this game is fucking awesome. Go buy it right now. I'm gonna go play it some more.
You say I am the law!
You betray the law? I am the law!